Hello, my name is Brittany Cordera, or B for short. I am based in St. Louis. I'm a poet, and I'm going to be reading some poems for you today. And I want to thank Dimitri so much for inviting me to read. I am so excited and also very sorry for getting this very late to you, but thank you so much. The first poem I'm going to read is about St. Louis. It's about Sugarloaf Mound. I just became really intrigued by it and wanted to write a poem about it. This poem is titled Mound City. There are some mounds here filled with uranium, filled with building debris, and a hollow one standing above all others, metallic gateway to the spirit world. This city is humid android programmed to build itself on top itself, raised feeling high, reliving days, raised to forget the forests that grew along the Mississippi River. Like any city, programmed to keep us distant, space between our feet and dirt. Unwilling to maintain what's already there and has been for freedom's sake. Driving north on I-55 to visit the Arch, most don't see Sugarloaf for what it was, a mound pressed by the hands of mound people who blessed their bones back to earth in this hill, in the forest making sugar of a home's cement foundations. Okay. The next poem I'm going to read is titled Landfill. Sorry, my computer is slow bringing things up on my computer today. Just bear with me, it's a little slow. Okay, here it is, landfill. This is where our wealth haunts the earth. Bulldozers leveling back to dirt, frayed comforters, pieces of faces ripped from family photos, Mancala marbles clanging at the bottom of a black bag with dull spoons and a steel urn, sanctifying mounds of past hope. Metal corrodes quick in this acidic environment, leaves behind bauxite leachate, turning the land into venom. Like ichor, it disenchants the wind, ashes yoked in an alloy vase. Even when we drove past this graveyard, ice-capped on I-40, I smelled our bygones begging me to wonder, will I become that slurry if my bones are scrapped this way? I worried about the lost chicks a farmer ordered during the pandemic, the possums harvesting unfertile and half-hatched eggs, and the jewel carts or boba straws that sneak off into the ocean. I used to have hermit crabs with pokeballs painted on their shells, prayed they made their way back to the sea when they were lost, found them petrified under the kitchen sink after 7 months, which is to say, we threw them away too, with all the witness propaganda, the red leather Bible you gave me that shed its spine. If no one can create matter nor destroy it, will waste come back to us in one form or another over time as a quilt of satin scraps, cracked MJ CDs, unraveled buttons? Can a grandmother return as my sister, my father, my cat, if given a second chance? Okay. This one is titled, Look at Me Now. In this picture of great-grandfather Frank Guillory, he sits under a wall of photos of his children and grandchildren. He was often caught saying, Look at me now, to his sons and daughters, when he basked beneath this tree of faces. He never expected to have this kind of fortune, a family to call his own, a safe space to raise future generations. 20 years later, after his third daughter, he went back to Louisiana to find his mother, introduce her to her grandkids, first in Opelousas, but she wasn't there. He found her in the swamps near Evangeline Parish, dryad-like, live oak leaves and Spanish moss clinging to her silver hair, her wrinkles and clothes, mud and dregs. How unchristian, he thought, this image of her, outcasted by family for marrying a Creole man, thrown out of the plantation after her husband died, the livestock rich Hargroves and Trotties, who told Frank to run when he turned 18. Okay, the next poem I'm going to read is titled Good Hair. Good hair. Sizzling my scalp, singeing the back of my ear, a new branding every week with the flat iron. Skin flushed like the pink peonies we planted in our garden earlier that year. The scar, now an excess of melanin I never get to see in the mirror. Didn't tell me, you've got good hair. Don't dread it. My mother never braced me for this lesson. Even she assumed I'd blend in perfect with my neighbor's children, hopeful they'd no longer throw wads of paper in my hair if I had no kink. Or perhaps Sekhmet's mane was truly easier to take care of. This ceremony made us closer. All that time spent neck bent and cross-legged like trail trees marking a path back home. The brandishing of a 4A fro with heat and texturizers and relaxers, crouched till my spine couldn't take no more. Fear of Jehovah spun in me that I'd get slapped if I couldn't sit still. Never warned me about strangers doubtful of a body's intentions, a body's origins. Not enough from home for this due, the kind of beating it takes to flatten frizz for a few days. Sunday's liturgy after Kingdom Hall, slathering blue magic on flaky scalp and blasting Beyonce to charm Egyptian cobras hissing on my head. I could tell she was hit that day on how hard she tugged on a clump of curls. Okay, I'm gonna read just a couple more poems. Thank you so much again for having me read, Dimitri. Okay, this poem is titled Daguerreotype Photo Ripped on Both Edges of Great Grandma Luvinia wearing white linen and apron, holding my grandfather or great aunt, unknown woman to left wearing same clothes, 1932. Last month, I uploaded this photo of her to deep nostalgia. Watched her facial features come to life, morph into my own reflection. To bridge a portal between our worlds, place a mirror on your bilveda with the few old pictures you found on Facebook. The chills I get when I'm any place that holds our rememory, the Trail of Tears, Gower Cemetery, Mobile Bay, like seeing her lips part into that smile as she followed the 20th century camera's direction. That feeling when someone walks on top of your life's grave before. No, I'm not in this photo. I could be. The vision seated in her shadowy womb. Child 7 out of 9, the same amount of full-blooded siblings my mother has. She has lost her first son, John, to World War II, but I have a couple pictures of him as well I'll place on our altar. I wonder most about the woman left of her, cut out intentionally by the photographer or accidentally due to the camera's smaller lens, and the child she was holding, unable to keep their body forward and still for a few more seconds. Her Creole husband must have called her my African goddess, right as this memory was snapped into permanency. Okay, I think the next poem I will read is, what should I read next? Okay, I think I will read Black Creek. Lavinia called herself Black Creek after she inherited her late father's piece of arid scrub, where pecan and blackjack oak persist. Knowing this, the creek treated her like family, and the white pioneers stopped harassing her for the land upon finding out this was Indian territory. Her identity, a keepsake game of telephone, passed down generation to generation. All we have is an oral history, no names on rolls listed under freedmen. Her father, the 89er he wanted to be, is nameless from all census records between 1837 and 1885. His Creek wife's maiden name erased. A pattern of denying the wolves in our blood feels no different than this. A mother telling strangers her firstborn was Japanese when they asked what Asian she was mixed with, further ridding traces of bestial lineage. Okay, and then the last poem I will read is the last poem in my manuscript. And this is Bilveda for Uncounted Ancestors. When you no longer have land or homestead or birth and death certificates or ashes, gather the pictures you do have and hoard them in a folder on your MacBook Air. Print them out at Kinko's, put them in frames you find from the dollar store. Find a worn table with wobbly legs, an intact mirror, and as many scratched up wine glasses at Goodwill. Rehome the masks you found on Craigslist that are decorated with owl feathers, crocodile and wolf teeth, okapi stripes, and buffalo horn. Find a corner in your room, assemble an altar with these recyclables and 2 white candles. From their cotton bags, take out the cowrie and murex shells, the sand dollars and stones still covered in mud and sand, the sour of ocean. Place them in the corners of the table. Hang the framed faces on one side of the corner, the masks on the other, so they are facing each other. Fill the glasses with water. Replace the water every Sunday. Hope that some of your unnamed ancestors will come back in the shadows behind those animal eyes to walk with you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and wonderful week.